Going on, guys? How are we doing today? Thank you for coming back for another video here at your outdoor oasis. Well, sometimes that's a tongue twister. Appreciate you guys watching the video. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel out. I am trying to build the channel. You know, the growth of a channel is very parabolic, right? Where it's so long to kind of get built up, and then once you start to get to a certain level, you start to gain subscribers pretty rapidly, and YouTube kind of pushes your videos out to more people, and in turn, the growth just continues. So something that you guys could do for me, just to help me out, is just hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified anytime we upload a new video. But today, I'm doing a different type of video. I have the external mic on. We're out here in the woods, is where we like to be, in the frigid weathers here in Ohio. Today we're a little bit fortunate. We're up to about 38 degrees, where recently we've been well below freezing into the, almost 0 degrees or negative degrees Fahrenheit here in Ohio. So it feels pretty good out here. So I wanted to get out here and shoot a video. Today's video, I wanted to introduce you to something that I purchased for the company to help, just take some of the labor intensiveness out of the industry. For those that don't know, I don't do this full time. Okay, I am a part-time guy at this. I work weekends, after hours. I am a normal Monday through Friday guy. I'm a software engineer. I write software for a HVAC company here in Ohio. So I don't do this full time. I am a solo owner operator. I do this all by myself. If I need assistance, I'll sometimes recruit my wife to come out and help, as you've seen in some of the videos. Sometimes I'll recruit a friend, a nephew, or in bigger situations, I'll recruit other tree services to come help and assist in a project that may be too much for just a single person to do, or from my experience. With that being said, I can't, in good faith, go out and, let's go buy a $100,000 skid steer or a $50,000 mini skid to help with the removal part of the tree. It just doesn't make sense in a guy that may get, I try to do 3 to 4 projects a month. If I can. Sometimes I can try to work in a project here more, because again, I still have the lawn care side where I do have a couple properties that I mow. I have a very few. There's not a ton, but it is just some recurring revenue for the company. So I have to focus on that in some of my spare time, and I just can't take on more than 3 to 4 projects a month, typically, obviously size dependent, but it just doesn't make sense. So if you're thinking about this in a realistic sense, if I'm, let's just, and I'm not saying that this is how it goes, but let's just put easy numbers. Let's say every project's worth $1,000, right? So that brings in $3,000 to $4,000 a month for the company. Multiply that by, let's say, 8 months of the year, because 3 to 4 months of the year we're heavy winter and I'm only maybe doing 1 project a month. So let's say 3,000 times 8. So I'm really bringing in revenue-wise, not that much, under $30,000 a year. So in order to buy a $50,000 machine, I'm literally taking every revenue dollar that I have times 2 years, basically, just to pay that off. So it just doesn't make sense for a company like me to do that without having grown a little more and maybe eventually getting more projects on or whatnot. But that's just kind of the situation that I'm in. So as of now, it's just been me, a dump trailer, climbing gear, basically get everything down, just load everything to the dump trailer manually and get out. Obviously, that's not a long-term goal. My body's not going to withstand that sort of abuse all the time. So I wanted to try to research a way that I could do something that makes sense with the business, and financially can make sense with the business. So I've done a lot of research trying to figure out a solution. I did entertain some of those cheap Chinese mini skid steers that were, $3,000, $5,000. But every time I watch them in operation, they just look like a absolute waste of money. So I kind of excluded that as an option until I came across the Durette V1000. A lot of people, it's got the Kubota engine, which is a very reputable engine. It's a diesel engine. It's very well built for the Chinese mini skid steers. I did lots of research. Lots of other people had recommended it. And the price also fits within the company's sort of budgetary ideas of, under $20,000 if you have it from a dealer locally. I know you can reach out to China Direct. I think they're like just under 10 grand brand new, but then you've got to ship them plus the attachments and things like that. So most, I think people are saying right around $14,000 to get them shipped here in the United States. So that kind of intrigued me. It was like, hey, it's a better quality machine than the normal Chinese mid skier. The Chinese mid skids. It's cheaper than the normal MT100, SCL 1000, basically the competitors, the Toro Dingo TX 1000. So I started doing a lot of research on them. There was actually a dealer very close to me within 15 minutes that actually had them. So I had reached out to them at the end before winter hit, asking them some questions, and they had said, you know, hey, yeah, you know, when we take everything on pre-sale, we order some containers of them at a time, but they're always pre-sold. So I said, okay, no problem. I'm just kind of looking into them. They had a demo that I could come and take a look at, so that was very intriguing. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do some more research on this before I actually go and physically demo. I'm very impulsive. I know that if I go look at this machine and it seems of decent quality, I'd probably wanna buy it right then. So I wanted to make sure I did the research ahead of time. So I did look into it. It's hard to find videos, nothing really out there on them, but I did see several Facebook groups that kind of people had mentioned to look into this type of machine. Kind of researched on that, and everyone kind of said good things about it. Of course, it's not always going to be great. There is some downsides to a machine like this. You know, obviously there's a reason why the American-made machines are $50,000 compared to a machine that you would get from Durette that would be at like 10,000 to 15,000. So I understand there may be some negatives to it, but with that being said, I also understand that the company can't. It's just not reasonable for the company to spend $50,000 on an Avant or a MT100 or something like that. So I did more research. I kind of was sold on the idea of giving it a shot. I wanted to at least go check out the machine. I said, hey, you know, do you guys still have these? Like, yeah. We have one for demo if you want to come take a look at it. So like, sure. So I went out and took a look at it, and I'll tell you what, I was kind of impressed. You know, I've rode the Avant before. I've seen the other the Vermeers, the MT100s. I've been on the Toro Dingo a couple times because I really entertained buying a used Toro Dingo because there was one locally for sale that I went and looked at. So I kind of looked into some of these, and when I looked at the Durette, I was pretty impressed. The quality seems fairly decent. Obviously, again, I'm not ignorant that it's not up to the standards of what these other machines are, but it certainly was way better than the other cheap Chinese machines that I had been looking at. It's got the Kubota diesel engine. Most of the parts are fairly reputable. I know the hydraulic system is some Italian company, so that's not manufactured in China. With that being said, China itself is still the manufacturing leader of the world for manufacturing. So I went and talked to the guy, said, hey, I was interested in picking one of these up, and he actually kind of gave me the words that kind of made me pull forward. He said, hey, you know, we just got a container in. They were all pre-sold, but one of the buyers backed out. So he actually had one available for sale. If I was interested, let's do it right now. And I said, okay, let's do it. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to introduce you to so as you guys can see, here it is. It is the Durette V1000. Again, I did not build it to my specs, as this was something that they just happened to have in stock. It was kind of a luck of the draw. I just happened to call the day that they had gotten a shipment in fairly recently, and he just had a buyer back out. I'm not sure. I didn't ask. I tried to ask why the buyer backed out. He didn't really answer because we were kind of discussing multiple other avenues, but it just kind of worked out. So he let me take a look at it. He had a grapple in stock as well, the Durette grapple. So I ended up purchasing that as well. We'll talk about that here in a second. So I picked this up, I would say about 3 weeks ago. I have done the one tree job, which we'll have a video coming out here shortly. I'll get this one out, and probably the next video will be that. Unfortunately, I didn't record the whole time. It was such a big project and a lot going on that I wasn't able to record it fully all the time. But here it is. So I have used it. I do have the grapple. I do have a bucket for it. We'll talk about the grapple here in a second. It is the Durette V1000. It is a 1,000-pound lifting machine. The benefit that I saw when doing some research is it lifts about 10 inches higher than some of the competitors, like the Toro TX 1000. It does lift about 11 inches, I believe, more than that. It's a vertical lift system, so it can fit into my dump trailer. Like I mentioned before, it's the Kubota with 502 engine, so it is the diesel engine that they put in the SCL 1000 and the MT100. It does have the standard or common industry interface, so it's a pretty standard plate that you can get most any attachment for. It is a stand-on machine, as you can tell here. joystick control for direction, and then the other joystick is for the hydraulic action of the boom. I do have the external weights on order. They should be here. I think they said within the next month or so. So I will have the extra weights on the back for some added, some balance and weight. It's a great machine so far. I used it. The machine itself worked flawlessly. I could not say any much better things than my first experience with it, outside of the grapple, which we will talk to you here in about a second. I'm not going to say much more about the machine. I will do some videos on obviously using the machine and loading and unloading, but let's go ahead and go inside because it is cold out here. And then I want to talk to you about my experience with the grapple, and we'll go from there. All right, we're back inside and we are warm now. So I wanted to discuss a little bit about the one issue so far that I've had with the Durat V1000. To be clear, the machine, no issues. I did have the auxiliary hydraulic thing unscrewed, but I just had to screw that back in. Maybe it wasn't quite tight enough from the factory. So that was an issue, and I did have it loosen up again on me, so I don't know if there's a way that I can maybe Loctite it in or not, but again, it's no real big deal. I just thread it back in. It's just a lever that threads in. But the one issue that I've had primarily, that I had with the Durat on the first job that I did, was with the grapple. The grapple itself worked fine. It articulated, opened and closed, no problem. It had plenty enough strength to grip on logs to lift them, and to get enough hydraulic pressure to clamp down and make sure that that they stay closed. But the main issue that I had was one of the centers. There's 6 total fingers, I would call them, off the bottom of the grapple. One of the 2 middle ones ended up breaking off. Now, I did nothing to cause this to happen. It happened in total normal wear and tear, or total normal conditions. I was just picking up a log under normal, what you would do any other time with any other grapple, and one of the teeth had broken. Now, Frank from Liggett Tree Service, he ended up finding the tooth and looking at it, and he did make a comment about how poor quality of steel he thought that they had used for those teeth, because that takes a lot of abuse. With that happening, as you've seen in that photo, then a little bit later, as a result of the tooth missing, now there was a gap in the bottom middle. The one to the next to it started to bend sideways. Now, was that a result of the one missing getting a little more side load? Probably. Also, the poor quality of steel just didn't have the strength to withstand holding up. And then finally, after I got home, I had unloaded some logs to make firewood out of, and I was just moving them around. It actually broke at the frame cross member that was there to support all those individual fingers. That metal cross, it ended up snapping right there and bending. So I was rather disappointed with the quality of the Durat grapple. I did buy the Durat grapple because I bought the Durat from the dealer. They had a grapple there. It was convenient. It was relatively inexpensive, considering some of the pricing of some of these other grapples. The quality just did not stand up, even through one project. Now, we were picking up some pretty decent logs, but that unit should be able to handle that, and it completely failed. So the dealer reached out to Durat. Durat offered to send out an upgraded version of the grapple, which they now send out, which has all those individual teeth are now reinforced with some, like, I forget what they call it, but it's like these like triangle steel plates that are welded to kind of keep strength of those fingers. But it was going to take 2 months, and that just wasn't going to be acceptable to me to have to wait 2 months to get a grapple that I could use for the device, because I have projects scheduled. So what I ended up doing is they took the grapple back on a return. They refunded me my money, which was, that's what I want out of a dealer if something doesn't withstand the test of time. And then I went and purchased another grapple from a third-party company, from Ignite Attachments, which seems to have a much heavier duty grapple. It was a little bit more money. I mean, I ended up spending probably 40% more than the grapple that I bought from Durat, but it has 850 steel, just has a much better specs all across the board. So I expect that durability to be far stronger. It also has the ability to switch between the Bobcat attachment and the common industry attachment that I have on the Durat. So if I ever decide to sell this attachment, or I upgrade to a Bobcat, this grapple will be able to transfer over to that device, or I can sell it to anybody that has those types of devices. So that was kind of a cool selling point of the grapple that I ended up purchasing. But guys, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Thanks for coming along this journey with me. If you haven't, again, please, I'm going to just reiterate this. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you're alerted when we post new videos. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I get it. I would love to have gotten a MT100 or a TX1000. It just doesn't make sense at this point. And maybe down the road, that's what we'll go to. So, but for now, we'll get to test out the durability of this Duret V1000 in the tree industry world. And I will post those videos for you guys to witness. Thanks again for watching the video. Please give a thumbs up. Until next video, we'll see you guys later. Peace.